Okay, let's get started. Hello everyone. Welcome to Fedora website and apps team Revamp Objective Talks. My name is Onuralp. I'm Fedora website and application apps team Mindshare representative, and I'm working on Fedora for a very long time. I'm also doing some packager work, being an active member on KDE. I'm also a KDE user myself. And I do also have various hobbies as well. And hopefully this will talk also gives you a nice overview and what's going on about the website team. So, Josh, could you please introduce yourself, my friends?
Thanks, Onuralp. Akashdeep here. As a day job, I work as a software engineer in the Red Hat Community Platform Engineering team, and I'm the objective lead for the Fedora websites and apps team. Apart from that, I have contributed in parts like join-sec, mentorship. I package some stuff. Also, I help documenting stuff. That's about it from my end. We'll be passively joined by Maureen. We'll be having a recording of her presented, and she'll be telling us a lot about the current website's revamp efforts and how things are going. Really exciting stuff. You'd really want to know about it. She's the design lead of the Fedora websites and apps team, and she works as the senior principal interaction design in Red Hat. Over to the next slide, Anurag.
Sure. So who we are is basically we are definitely started a little bit more small, like a 1.5 years ago, approximately. Hi, Nico. So who we are is we are definitely become much more larger team. And in our team, we have, of course, as mentioned, Akash, me, Graham, Francois, Maureen, Ashlyn, and many others in our team also working actively in Fedora websites and apps. And we are definitely doing a lot of revamp work all together. And hopefully in this slide, it'll help you a lot more about it as well, at the question. So let's just say, Akash, do you want to talk about the objective updates, please?
Sure thing. So the websites and apps revamp council objective, it started as an effort to not just revamp our websites and apps, but to revamp the workflow, the way things are organized, and the way we do things around it. To make sure that the team around it remains sustainable and it's not just one person doing stuff, but rather a team who knows what part they're supposed to take care of, stuff like that. So we started looking into processes that are involved into making our websites, maintaining our applications, designing the user interfaces, and we made some changes to it. And we keep on making the changes to it because the team changes as time passes on. New folks come. There are folks who have been around for a longer period of time, which can't quite contribute anymore. So according to those things, a lot of things need to be changed in the way we do things. So it involves all the aspects, which involves running of meetings, documenting stuff, and conventions of writing commit messages, even small things like that, to mentoring folks within the team. So talking about the things that we do in order to make sure that we make these things effective. So starting with discussions being a very important part of the way we do things. We actively involve in discussions with design team, with the infrastructure team and marketing, which in turn has led us to collaboratively work on great designs, deploying websites and applications on time, and understanding what kind of content we should put out there. Technologies, it is more effective now than it has ever been, because now that we're designing our websites again from ground up, it has given us an opportunity to understand what can we do better and what kind of workflows that we can make use of to be able to make sure that the designs that we do are effortless, while they are also accessible by folks who are not very technical in nature. Then revamping our websites. Remember, we are doing this stuff while making sure that our websites are keeping up with the latest releases. And in this case, Fedora 37 and beta. We are putting them out there all the same time as we are working on the newer version of the websites, which have a greater look and feel. And then in order to do all these stuff, we need contributors. So we have been actively onboarding contributors, and I don't know, we have been very lucky enough that we have had a great influx of contributors in front end, back end, design, infrastructure, project management from both within the community as well as folks who are just new to Fedora, and they have seen our representations, our talks on YouTube, and they are very interested to be a part of this team. And finally, our representation within the community. This is what makes us stronger, reaching out there, be it in a release party like, well, we are right now talking about this, or Nest, or Fedora Hatch Pune, India, where we had folks who were so excited about this that they literally took out phones from their pockets and they started creating fast accounts then and there. So with these representations, we start getting new contributors, and well, these contributors make us who we are. Over to the next slide, Onuralp.
I have something to tiny addition to the community, if you excuse.
Go ahead.
Which is we also show our status and what's going on also in Fedora discussion, which is actively online community, which has give us a huge feedbacks and benefits. We also gain more contributors, testers, design ideas, translation fixes, proper punctuation, editor choices. So not just coding, it also helps us a lot based on other situation, and of course Comblock when we are getting some milestones based on our plans and how does it go, which is also important for us. So this online community sections of our websites is also give us a huge benefit as well. So let's talk about the Fedora website update 3.0. Which is we are actively working on redesigning and redeveloping our website ground up from state-of-art practices and technologies, which is Akash talked about already in a couple of minutes ago, saying some technical technologies words like Next.js, Vue.js kind of stuff. And based on that, we are changing our websites in a better way. So in this one, we're gonna have a record. We will going to have a tiny nice recording, and we will show you how is it going. And let me share the link immediately. And Máirín gonna show us how is it going.
Hi, my name's Mo Duffy. I'm a UX designer with Red Hat, and I have been working on the Fedora website's redesign project for some time now. I'm one of the designers who has come up with the designs for the website, and I'm here to speak to you today about how the Fedora website redesign is going. The other thing I want to state up front is that the timeline we're looking at for the website is for Fedora 38. Our goal is to have all of the main edition pages done, a basic front page done, and maybe some minor supplementary content. And then for Fedora 39's release, we are hoping to have mostly everything else filled in terms of the website content. So that's stuff like all of the spins and labs. We may update some other sites. We'll have start.fedora, and we'll also have Flock. Well, actually, Flock is in progress. We're hoping to have that done for F38. So anyway, just to give you a rough timelines. So basically, when you're building a website for a thing, you have to understand what is the thing, right? So what is the story around this thing? Why would somebody want to use it? Who is going to use it? That kind of thing. And that story for Fedora has changed over the years. When we kicked off this process, this was something that I built at the very beginning, just to fully understand what is it that Fedora is. And of course, some things changed. We've added the cloud and the CoreOS editions, but that's okay because they actually fit neatly into this diagram, so it's not too much of a concern. The way that I was thinking, I call it the F model, and you start at the bottom and you're a desktop user, so you're using Fedora Workstation. And you might not ever use anything else. You're happy with Fedora as a workstation, and hey, no problem. We're not going to push you to do anything else. However, if you start getting into development, then you might start with local container-based development, right? Once you kind of want to branch out, I don't want to just be developing on local containers, but I want to have remote containers too. Maybe you could use CoreOS as the OS that you host those containers on. And as you move on, maybe you would move on to some sort of Kubernetes-based runtime and you would push them to that. So we want that to be a supported workflow where you're using Fedora as a development situation, and you start out local and you can kind of push to more and more sophisticated container platforms if you want. Okay. But then what if you're more working with hardware, maybe like edge or IoT type devices or something like that. Our answer for you there is you could use Fedora IoT on the device and then use your Fedora as a local container-based development environment. This is sort of just the whole model. So this is what Fedora is. So this is what we're trying to present to the world. Because remember, like our website is really our main front door. That is the face we present to the world. So we have to make sure we're presenting ourselves accurately and we know like this is who we are. The other thing that's like a common confusion, Fedora is a community. Fedora Linux is our OS. So in the website, we're trying to be very intentional about when we're referring to Fedora Linux, the OS, we say Fedora Linux. And then when we talk about Fedora, just kind of a naked Fedora, we're trying to keep that reserved for references to the community. Now, we probably haven't gotten it perfect everywhere, but this is the intention anyway, right? We also want to integrate that community content back into the website because it's been separated for a while. We've had getfedora.org kind of focused on the bits, or Fedora Linux, the OS. FedoraProject.org is more of the kind of community focused website. So we're trying to make the website all one big website again for both the community and the OS. So we have our story here, right? So how do we tell that story? I am just going to skip through most of this. So yeah, and this is today's website. It is still focused on the editions. We do have links out to the other sites, but there's still subdomains somewhere else. So we kind of want to pull them all together. Okay, so now this shows some mock-ups of this current new project. It's not complete yet, but this is a snapshot of what the front page will look like. We'll probably have a picture or something, and we're going to have some community call-outs. So this one is like a work in progress. Yes, people do come in through this front door of the front page, but I feel like the additions are what we deliver, so we put the most focus on them to start. And the extra additions will be added in here too. This is the workstation page, which I will demo in a working fashion, just a preview of the IoT, and then this is the flock, which I will also demo. They will all have a global nav bar, so they're kind of going to be linked together, but you can see like if you cut off that global nav bar, you could almost see how they could be independent sites too. So we're trying to, because our project has a lot of groups that have different artifacts that they maintain, and we want those groups to have some control over that without having to impact others potentially. Okay, so what have we learned about our website requirements? We need a website that is performant and secure. We used to have our website run on a Moin wiki. That was not too performant. So we need our website to perform well and to be very fast, and we also need it to be secure. So we opted to go with a static website-based system. We also want the content to be able to be managed by people who are not the web developers, right? This has been our ongoing struggle. So with this, we've elected to go with a CMS system that has a nice user interface that will hopefully enable content contribution, and you don't even have to use Git. Yay! Although it's all backed by Git in the backend. So even though you're like going through this nice UI and submitting content in the backend, it's actually saving that new content as Git commits and issuing pull requests and things like that. It's very neat. Okay, we also want it to be fun to contribute to. We want it to be as easy as possible for developers and designers to contribute to building and maintaining the website. And we also need it to be flexible and expandable. Like as I've shown, Fedora's story and what Fedora is conceptually has changed over the years. So we need the website to be able to flex to that. For example, during the process of this whole design process, we had the addition of 2 more Fedora editions, Cloud and CoreOS. So we need to flex to be able to account for that. And I think the system we've set up will do that. We have the split between the edition payloads and the non-edition payloads. We also have the split between user-focused stuff and contributor-focused stuff. So now we're just bringing it all back together in one website. Okay, so how are we building it? So it's just a summary of the technology choices, and I want to give a big shout out to Ashlyn Knox, and she did an amazing project where she put together different proofs of concept for different platforms, including Vue, React, and Fast API, and we settled on the basis of her research. We settled on Vue.js. So Vue.js is a JavaScript-based framework that we are using for building front-end components for the website. Vue.js, I personally don't know too much about, but it's something to do with building. So hopefully one of my website team compatriots can explain that more if you need to know more. Nuxt is the content management system. It's like the static content framework that we're using. And then Netlify CMS is the UI for managing content on the website. So we will be doing a quick demo of that so you can see what it looks like. It makes it much easier to contribute and modify content. And then Tailwind CSS, which is a really nice CSS framework. It gives you all sorts of utility classes and makes it really easy to do stuff that's just kind of a pain in raw CSS. Okay, so this is the status, and this has been updated from the Flock presentation. We always be creating design mockups, right? Like that's always in progress. Also, we've been developing code, adding and finalizing the content. Now that we've kind of made the final call on the structure and architecture of the CMS system, we're getting to the point that we're adding that in. And Dark Now and Nico have set up the internationalization stack using Weblate, and so we're getting somewhere with that. We also have set up this test site, which I'm going to show to you. I believe it's built from the main branch, and that gets fed from the develop branch, basically gets fed into it every week. We may change that process. We're talking about our development process, but that's how it is now. So I will demo that for you. And then documentation. So Hari on our team is kind of taking point on documenting how things go. And then this is if you want to get involved. We're on Matrix. Our meetings are Wednesdays at 1500 UTC. And yes, that is Wednesday, not Tuesday. They used to be at Tuesday. Now they're Wednesday. We also have some contributor training. So this first bit is recorded. I have it's a 2-part series. And basically Ashlyn walked me and Emma and Madeline from beginning to end, how to create Vue.js components for the website from scratch. And we took a mock-up and then we kind of built it out. It was a lot of fun. I have the first part all edited down and uploaded to PeerTube. The second one is still in editing, but that will be available soon. So anybody who wants to contribute to the front end here, we will have training videos for you. And then also, so this is something that is a work in progress. We did a bit of a hackfest where we invited members from across the Fedora community to test out the first version of the CMS we set up. We got a lot of great feedback that was super helpful. And Ashlyn went back and retooled the entire CMS to account for all of that feedback. So it is a much better, more resilient, easier to use system. So we're very happy about how that went. As that gets finalized, we'll start developing training content so that anybody can watch this training and understand how to enter new content in. Okay, and this is the code. It's on GitLab. And then it's our documentation. So yeah, let's go on to the demos. So this is the repository for the new Fedora website. You'll see at the top towards where the main logo is, there's links for the test deploy and the CMS deploy. Now, I believe the test deploy is based on the main branch. So we sync the developer branch over to main on a weekly basis right now. There's also a link to the CMS deploy. So this is a test version of the content management system. That's the UI that I was talking about that lets people enter in and modify content that's on the website. So first, I'll give you a quick tour of what we have so far on the website. Now, first, I want to caveat the top nav bar here is pretty much just a placeholder. We have a community member who is working on the design of this based on a session that she did at Flock and user research. So this is not reflecting what that design is going to be. This is just so that we can access the pages that we created. Okay, another thing you might notice is that this is a little bit off. So I have a 4K monitor and this is clearly not supporting 4K yet. So this is one of those little niggly things that would be nice, if you have web development skills, you want to help little bugs like that, we really need the help. But this is what it looks like a little bit more to the design spec. So, you can see we have an animation that we kind of wanted this to be a little bit more dynamic than in the past where we've had sort of like a flat page that's not too animated. Another thing to note, here's the global nav bar. And again, it is not the final design, but this will persist across websites. The idea of this site, this is the Workstation Edition site. It has its own local navigation, and then you have the global navigation. And so each of its local items has information about downloading the community and getting help that are very specific to that edition. We're looking at each of the editions almost as having their own inclusive website, but then they link back to sort of the main website and information about our community. The design is such that information about the community and joining the community and basically on-ramps, hey, you like Workstation, join the Workstation community. Or when you're downloading, hey, we see you're downloading Fedora version 37. Why don't you take a try at some test version of Fedora? Since you're here downloading anyway, we're trying to embed community content in the edition and other payload content as well. So you can scroll down and you can see, I mean, it's, if you've seen the mockups before, it's pretty true to the mockups. We've been talking about maybe having some low key animations, maybe with the screenshots kind of appearing into view as you scroll down. And then you can see here too where this content is entered in as Markdown, and we're still working on getting it to render as HTML rather than Markdown. So, you know, you can see it's very much a work in progress. We also have IoT started that. And there's also the Flock site. I'm not 100% sure it's linked up. It might be. Oh, yes, it is. So this is something that Darknow worked on, implementing the design that Ashlyn did as part of her internship. So, you know, we're making progress here. We've got some code. We have some pages. It's just getting all the content loaded in, all the pages finalized, and getting that global nav fully designed and implemented. So there's that. All right, so now I want to show you the CMS. Okay, so it's connected with GitLab. You would log in with your Fedora GitLab account. Okay, and then you can see kind of the structure here. We have IoT server and workstation loaded in. So if you go in here, you look at workstation and then index. Okay, so this is all of the content from that page. And you can scroll down and see how it's loaded in. And then if you'd want to modify any of it. And again, this is not doing like a what you see is what you get. It's just showing you what the objects are. This isn't meant to be like a what you see is what you get editor. It's more meant to be a user interface that is pretty straightforward for editing the content that appears on the site. And there's a number of reasons why we wouldn't implement it that way. But you can see how we have all the content arranged here. So each section has a title and it has a description. If you know there's like a piece of content in the page that you want to update, so say this free and private, you want to update that. Here it is right here. So you can modify the text if you want. And the intention here is that there's a governance that owns that content. You know, like the Workstation Working Group owns the Workstation website. People who are in that group can have permission to go in and modify the content for their page without risking accidentally modifying the content for Fedora Server or Fedora IoT. So we're trying to set up the system in such a way that people can control their own content, but not, you know, by accident modify somebody else's. So that was the CMS, and then you've seen the website too. And I think that's a pretty good overall demo. And I am hoping that the website folks available live to answer your questions are ready and available.
Well, so that was said about the exciting part. Onuralp, would you mind sharing the seventh slide or the
Sure, I
sixth
will
slide?
just
Seventh
change
slide,
my
most
screen.
likely. Yeah. God, thanks, Máirín, for that. Such an awesome presentation. We got through so many things in such a short amount of time. Folks, please feel free to ask questions. Like Onuralp mentioned, like I mentioned, and like this slide mentions. We have Darknow, Francois, Nico, and folks who have worked on these sites, so they would be knowing about the things that should be answered. Totally feel free to ask your questions. Right, so Luna has a content-based correction that we would want to introduce. We'll surely make those changes happen. Oh, not good, sorry.
There is a question.
Yeah.
Can anyone join? Are you looking for specific skills, or do I need to know about the web stuff? Well, I can answer that. When you join the team, you have a couple of options. First and foremost, you don't need to know only technical mode. You can do translation, documentation, writing tools based on writing documentation of the tools we're using on it. A little bit of a technical skill required, knowledge actually required, but it'll work. But if you are a front-end developer or a back-end developer, you can definitely welcome to join. And the skills you are expecting is, as Máirín mentioned in the video, like Vue.js based on tools we are using on it. So if you know Vue.js, Next, if you have a more better knowledge of Netlify CMS also, or if you're a more CSS person, know a more Tailwind CSS, that'll also work as well. But another point is this is just for these websites. We also have other infrastructure based on solutions and websites in Fedora website team. So Python is also another prominent language in our websites as well. How happy do you have been with CMS? Many sites use WordPress. Is it a good replacement for this? I can answer a bit, but if I'm stay short, other can also pitch in the reply, and I can read it. So we talk about this a lot before we decided to, and a couple of good thing is it's at the moment it fits our needs, and we can extend it and change based on our needs. And we were, of course, looking for the better options and alternative always. And at the moment, we are happy with our solution. But if you want to have a better idea or solution or something, please feel free to welcome to say us in our community channel, in Fedora website team channel, in Metrics, or you can come out to us in Wednesday meeting and talk about it. We can definitely help you out in the further discussion as well. Will we ever see dark mode, night mode in Fedora website in near future? The answer source comes in, and I'm just going to say as loud as well. Yes, we do have a plan for dark mode. We definitely talk about it. Let me also cover up a couple more pieces. We will targeting mobile compatible dark modes, more accessible, normal website looking, better monitors, support like 4K, 2K, 1K supporting. So all these classics, proper websites, best practice going to be, of course, going to be in our new website as well.
Right. So I think that's about it for all the questions that we have. We have a couple more minutes, but I guess we should go on to the next slide. Right. So in order to make sure that we do things in a much better way possible than we are doing right now, we need your help and we need your time to fill this survey. This is a short survey which helps us understand about the things that we should improve upon and about the things that we're doing good, so we can continue doing that stuff. Please scan this QR code. Onuralp will paste this link in the chat section. If you can't scan this QR code, please head over to the link, give your 2 minutes of time and fill this survey. It's going to help us tremendously to understand about the things that we lack and the things that we should improve upon. And well, this is one way of contributing, to be really honest, and does not require a lot of technical skills, but you are helping us in one way or another. But yeah, as always, you can reach out to us on our Matrix channel. Let me quickly link it to here. And we have our meetings on every Wednesdays at 1500 UTC that you can reach out to. We can always continue our conversations in the Matrix channel, so there's that. But until then, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, everybody.